Hi there. So I saw a post the other day that reminded me of something. Okay, basically this post was saying that we are the body, we are not the spirit, we're nothing else other than the body, we're a speck of nothing, blah blah blah. Which is not my personal experience, but I was reminded of all three of my pregnancies. It was about 5 months along when each one of their spirits joined me. And I could feel them, Now, Charlotte, actually, I could hear her. And I was driving to work one day. And we could not, my husband and I could not come up with a name. For whatever reason, and I was about 5 months pregnant, but for whatever reason, I wanted to come up with her name. I didn't have a name. And, I would look at all the baby name books, all this stuff, and couldn't come up with anything. So I'm driving to work one day, and I hear, plain as day, my name is Charlotte. And I knew who it was. And I looked down, like I can remember, I was at a stoplight, and I looked down, and I was like, oh shit, that is your name, isn't it? Because it was right. So I go home that day, and I wrote down a list of 10 names, My son was 6 or 7, 6. And, Charlotte was like the 4th one down on the list or whatever. And I told him, I said, now her name is on this list, and, I want you to pick it. Well, of course, he picked Charlotte. And so it's like, yep, that's it. So we got to get your dad to agree to it. So in order to do that, I agreed to let him give her any middle name he wanted in the world. And so he wanted to give her the middle name Persephone. And then on the way to the hospital, I was like, are you sure? And he was like, well, how about Elizabeth? I was like, oh yeah, that's better, much better. Well, then turns out like later that princess, the royal family, people have a granddaughter, Princess Charlotte Elizabeth, which my daughter was born first. Hers is like Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. And I also had a really weird vision about these people, but about the Matrix being reset again. But that's another matter. So, and then with Noah, I could just feel him. And then during that time, late at night when I would sit out there, like I had a lot of trouble sleeping with him. And I would sit in the living room, and like white noise would come through this one radio that wasn't plugged in, had no batteries, crazy. And then with Juliet, now her story's a bit interesting. I did not know. Okay, so after Charlotte was born, I was 32, and I stopped having periods. I didn't have periods anymore after that. I had like 4 periods in like 5 years. Okay, so because of this, I did not know that I was pregnant with Juliet until I was lying in bed one night, about 5 months along, and I felt her kicking. And so the next night, it's like, let's see if this happens again. Because I knew what it was the first night. And so the second night, it happened again. So the third night, it's like, yeah, it's going to happen again if it's what I think it is. Sure enough. It's like, oh, man. Yeah. Because, I didn't have morning sickness. I had no... And the thing is that I had to... Okay, so I had gotten pregnant in July. Well, my dog died at the end of September. So when my dog died, I did start eating a lot at the... but I put it as, well, the dog died, and so that's why I'm gaining weight. And then it was November when it was Thanksgiving, I think, or like the week before Thanksgiving, that happened. So, but anyhow, I knew because when she did that, it's kind of like, oh man, and like I heard the spirit like, yeah, I'm here. It's like, Oh man. And with her though, there was a weird thing. My friend's child actually told me, she's highly intuitive, and she told me, she showed me in a vision. It was very weird. I can't even explain how she did that, but showed me that Juliet was coming. And and then like a year before she was born, my her dad's sister, we were on his couch and we had her daughter sitting there with us. And she was like, why did I just look over and think that was y'all's daughter? So, anyhow, the spirit is, we're not the body. You know, the spirit is separate from the body. And then when I was young, I used to be able to astral project, and I didn't know what it was, and it scared me, and I asked my parents, and they didn't have any idea, so I lost the ability to do that. I've gotten close a couple times recently, but I haven't been able to do it again yet. So, I am certain we are not just the body or a speck of nothing. And you know, and as I've done a video on this before, you know, people that are like, oh, we shouldn't bring kids into this world, blah, 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 blah. There are still lots and lots of spirits waiting on bodies, okay? We're all sovereign beings, and, you know, when they're babies, I mean, they're really not babies. We've all been alive for millennia. Which reminds me, alive for millennia, that reminds me, my middle one is the most intuitive, and she was about 2, we were driving down the road, and she chimes in from the back seat. She's like, Mom, I know I have lived lots of lives. It's like, well, you probably have. And then she said, when she was about 5, she said, we were on a walk, and she said, you know, I really feel as if there's like something in the sky watching us or watching me, like all the time. She's like, but it's not necessarily a good thing. She's like, I guess it's what people call God, but I don't think it's good. You know, it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's that negative entity that watches whatever it is, negative energy entity, what have you, more than one likely, but there's also positive ones. And then she most recently said that she thinks she is good at gymnastics because she has done that in past lives, which is kind of interesting that she does gymnastics, because ever since she was little, she's been terrified of getting injured. Like, you know, her brother, he would just use his head as a wrecking ball, you know, crash into everything. But like Charlotte, even when she was a very little baby, she would be very mindful to fall on her butt, and she was very scared of getting injured. And so I wonder if she did do gymnastics in a previous life, and if she's had some type of injury. You never know. Have a good day.